As a database moves from the shutdown stage to being fully open, it performs internal consistency checks with the following stages. NOMOUNT. For an instance to reach the NOMOUNT, also known as started status, the instance must read the initialization parameter file. No database files are checked while the instance enters the NOMOUNT state. Mount. As the instance moves to the mount status, it checks whether all control files listed in the initialization parameter file are present and synchronized. If even one control file is missing or corrupt, the instance returns an error, noting the missing control file, to the administrator and remains in the NOMOUNT state. Open. When the instance moves from the mount state to the open state, it does the following. Checks whether all redo log groups known to the control file have at least one member present. Any missing members are noted in the alert log. Verifies that all data files known to the control file are present unless they have been taken offline. Offline files are not checked until the administrator tries to bring them online. The administrator may take a data file offline and open the instance if the data file does not belong to the system or undo tablespaces. If any files are missing, an error noting the first missing file is returned to the administrator and the instance remains in the mount state. When the instance finds files that are missing, only the first file causing a problem appears in the error message. To find all files that need recovery, the administrator can check the $recover_file dynamic performance view to get a complete list of the files that need attention. Verifies that all data files that are not offline or read-only are synchronized with the control file. If necessary, instance recovery is automatically performed. However, if a file is out of synchronization to the extent that it cannot be recovered by using the online redo log groups, then the administrator must perform media recovery. If any files require media recovery, an error message noting the first file requiring recovery is returned to the administrator and the instance remains in the mount state. Again, $recover_file gives a complete list of files that need attention. Files that are present and require media recovery are listed, but no error message is displayed. After a database is open, instance failure can be caused by media failure, for example, by the loss of a control file, the loss of an entire redo log group, or the loss of a data file belonging to the system or undo tablespaces. Even if an inactive redo log group is lost, the database would eventually fail due to log switches. In many cases, the failed instance does not completely shut down but is unable to continue to perform work. Recovering from these types of media failure must be done with the database down. As a result, the administrator must use the shutdown abort command before beginning recovery efforts. The loss of data files belonging to other tablespaces does not cause instance failure, and the database can be recovered while open, with work continuing in other tablespaces. These errors can be detected by inspecting the alert log file or by using the Data Recovery Advisor. The Data Recovery Advisor automatically gathers data failure information when an error is encountered. In addition, it can proactively check for failures. In this mode, it can potentially detect and analyze data failures before a database process discovers the corruption and signals an error. Note that repairs are always under human control. Data failures can be very serious. For example, if your current log files are missing, you cannot open your database. Some data failures, like block corruptions in data files, are not catastrophic because they do not take the database down or prevent you from opening the Oracle database. The Data Recovery Advisor handles both cases. The one when you cannot start up the database because required database files are missing, inconsistent, or corrupted, and the one when file corruptions are discovered during runtime. The preferred way to address serious data failures is as follows. 1. Fail over to a standby database if you are in a DataGuard configuration. This allows users to come back online as soon as possible. 2. Repair the primary cause of the data failure. User interfaces. The Data Recovery Advisor is available in Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. When failures exist, there are several ways to access the Data Recovery Advisor. You can also use the Data Recovery Advisor by using the RMAN command line, RMAN target, RMAN greater than list failure all, supported database configurations. In the current release, the Data Recovery Advisor supports single-instance databases. Oracle Real Application Clusters databases are not supported. The Data Recovery Advisor cannot use blocks or files transferred from a standby database to repair failures on a primary database. Furthermore, you cannot use the Data Recovery Advisor to diagnose and repair failures on a standby database. However, the Data Recovery Advisor does support failover to a standby database as a repair option, as mentioned previously. The options for recovery from the loss of a control file depend on the storage configuration of the control files and on whether at least one control file remains or have all been lost. If using ASM storage, and at least one control file copy remains, you can perform guided recovery using Enterprise Manager or perform manual recovery using RMAN as follows. 1. Put the database in NOMOUNT mode. 2. Connect to RMAN and issue the restore CONTROLFILE command to restore the control file from an existing control file. For example, restore control file from plus data, ORCL, control file, current .260.6952094633, 3. After the control file is successfully restored, open the database. If your control files are stored as regular file system files and at least one control file copy remains, then, while the database is down, you can just copy one of the remaining control files to the missing file's location. If the media failure is due to the loss of a disk drive or controller, copy one of the remaining control files to some other location and update the instance's parameter file to point to the new location. Alternatively, you can delete the reference to the missing control file from the initialization parameter file. Remember that Oracle recommends having at least 2 control files at all times. Recovering from the loss of a single redo log group member should not affect the running instance. To perform this recovery by using SQL commands. 1. Determine whether there is a missing log file by examining the alert log. 2. Restore the missing file by first dropping the lost redo log member. Alter database drop log file member, less than file name greater than. Then add a new member to replace the lost redo log member. Alter database add log file member, less than file name greater than, to group less than integer greater than. Note: if you are using Oracle Managed Files, OMF, for your redo log files and you use the preceding syntax to add a new redo log member to an existing group, that new redo log member file will not be an OMF file. If you want to ensure that the new redo log member is an OMF file, then the easiest recovery option would be to create a new redo log group and then drop the redo log group that had the missing redo log member. 3. If the media failure is due to the loss of a disk drive or controller, rename the missing file. 4. If the group has already been archived, or if you are in NOARCHIVELOG mode, you may choose to solve the problem by clearing the log group to recreate the missing file or files. You can clear the affected group manually with the following command: alter database clear log file group less than integer greater than. The loss of any data file from a database in NOARCHIVELOG mode requires complete restoration of the database, including control files and all data files. With the database in NOARCHIVELOG mode, recovery is possible only up to the time of the last backup. So users must re-enter all changes made since that backup. To perform this type of recovery by using Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. 1. Shut down the instance if it is not already down. 2. Select Availability, Backup and Recovery, perform recovery. 3. Select Whole Database as the type of recovery. If you have a database in NOARCHIVELOG mode that has an incremental backup strategy RMAN first restores the most recent level 0 and then RMAN recovery applies the incremental backups. With the database in archive log mode, the loss of any data file not belonging to the system or undue tablespaces affects only the objects that are in the missing file. The rest of the database remains available for users to continue work. To restore and recover the missing data file by using Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, use the Data Recovery Advisor or perform the following steps. 1. Select Availability, Backup and Recovery, perform recovery. 2. In the User-Directed Recovery section, select Data Files in the Recovery Scope menu and then select Recover to Current Time. 3. Click Recover to begin the guided restore and recovery process. 4. Click Add to select the data files to restore and recover. 5. Specify whether you want to restore the files to the default location or, if a disk or controller is missing, to a new location. 6. Submit the RMAN job to restore and recover the missing files. Because the database is in archive log mode, recovery is possible up to the time of the last commit and users are not required to re-enter any data. Data files belonging to the system tablespace or containing undue data are considered system critical. A loss of one of these files requires the database to be restored from the mount state, unlike other data files that may be restored with the database open. To perform this recovery by using Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. 1. If the instance is not already shut down, shut it down. 2. Mount the database. 3. Select availability, backup and recovery, perform recovery. 4. In the user-directed recovery section, select data files in the recovery scope menu and then select recover to current time. Recover to current time. 5. Click add to select all data files that need recovery. 6. Specify whether you want to restore the files to the default location or, if a disk or controller is missing, to a new location. 7. Submit the RMAN job to restore and recover the missing files. 8. Open the database. Users are not required to re-enter data because the recovery is up to the time of the last commit.